Good morning from Riviera Resort. Today we're heading to Epcot for a very special surprise. So we actually have booked the behind the scenes tour.
What?
Yes.
We're going in the greenhouse.
Yes.
We're not gonna steal a cucumber like that one lady, remember?
This is true. So in the land pavilion, behind the seats tour, backstage tour. So very excited for this.
This was our Christmas gift to my folks.
Yeah.
Since they're with us on this trip. So we are going to go through the greenhouse because we've always loved Garden Grill. It's such a fabulous restaurant, and they grow so much of the food that they serve here around Disney property right there in that greenhouse. So I'm super excited to hear about all the cool things they're doing for conservation and innovation as far as gardening and providing food for the Disney property and helping people on farms all over too.
Yeah. So because it's a backstage tour, I'm not sure how much I can record, but I will try my best. I'll record as much as I can, but I'm sure we'll be talking about it at the end of this video as well. So without further ado, let's head over to Epcot.
My name is Jenna. I'm going to be giving you your tour in the backstage greenhouses as well as our 2 labs and our aqua cell. Alright, so on our tour today, you are able to take as many photos, pictures, videos of everything that you want. We're going to be seeing a lot of cool stuff that you might want to capture on film. Right. Welcome friends to our pest management lab. So in all of our greenhouses, we use various different types of pest management. The first type is cultural pest management. So that's some things that we can do to prevent bugs from getting in. So at your house, think of kind of screens on your windows, and your windows open with bugs coming in, just kind of basic things like that. In our greenhouses, when you walk in, you'll feel a gust of air on you. Those are our air curtains, and it just prevents any bugs from following us inside. We also do chemical pesticides, pretty much in the form of soft horticultural soaps and oils. We use a lot of rosemary oil and neem oil. But then our favorite one to talk about is our biological control, which is what's going on here behind me. So these are both native to Florida. We have the leaf miner fly, which is our bad bug in this scenario, kind of the one that does the damage to the leaves, and then the parasitoid wasp. They're the ones that are the good bugs, and they parasitize the leaf miner fly. I'm going to put on a video up here to show you a little bit more of what is going on. So instead of it pupating into a fly, a wasp comes out. It's pretty cool. So that's what we're doing here in this funnel area where you saw it coming out of the leaf. We're collecting them down in the funnels. And there's a wasp. Like I said, biotechnology lab. If you've seen this from the boat ride, you've seen a different perspective. But this is where we do tissue culturing, and that's where we grow our Mickey's Mini Gardens. Tissue culturing is basically like taking a cutting of a plant and growing a whole new plant from that. Plants are really cool because they can remember how to become a whole plant just from that little tiny piece. That'd be like me cutting off my finger and then growing a whole new Jenna from that. It's pretty crazy. We can't do that, but plants can do that. And as we're walking through our greenhouse, let's try our very best to all stay together and not straggle too far behind. This is our creative greenhouse, which is named for all the many creative ways to grow plants. So if you've done the Living with the Land boat ride before, I'm sure you've heard the term hydroponics. All of our 4 greenhouses, we use hydroponics to grow all of our plants, and that just means growing with water, basically. So none of our plants use soil. We'll use other types of media, which we'll go into in a little bit. But this system here, where we have our kale, Brussels sprouts, this is our aeroponics system. So what we're doing here is as we rotate, there's no mixers in the chambers. You're welcome to look down to see if you can see any.
here, come up.
Fish provide a natural source of fertilizer for the plants, and the plants help keep the water clean for the fish. It's another great way to produce more while using less.
So that's the water that's dripping. Across the way is our aquaponics system with our fish. Those are tilapia, and then on top we have some basil plants. We recently harvested some, so the new ones up there are still really small, but they'll grow nice and big very soon. But with that kind of system, the fish are basically fertilizing with the water for the plants as they go back into the water. And then the plants are going to remove the toxins from the fish. So kind of a beneficial tool. And then the next one you'll see the spinning verticrop. That's a really great way to utilize a lot less space, but be able to grow a lot of plants. So we're growing a lot of basil over there right now. Chuck here absolutely loves basil. We never seem to be able to grow enough basil for everyone here. The spinning of it basically helps for even light distribution, but it's not the most necessary. Also, it's mostly just to look cool for the guests. Then we have our column pots right behind me. We're growing lots of edible flowers on them right now. Let's see, is there any violas yet? We're going to be planting our violas soon for our Flower and Garden Festival, which is coming up after Festival of the Arts. And we use those for our violet lemonades. And they are all edible, so if you ever get any flowers in your drinks, you can go ahead and eat them. It's pretty fun. So these are the types of media that we use. Like I keep saying media, that's basically just anything that surrounds the roots of the plant. So with our aeroponics, there's no media there. But we do a lot of our seeding of the plants when they're babies in rock wool. Rock wool is volcanic rock that's spun at very high heat, kind of like cotton candy. And it absorbs a lot of moisture and still allows some airflow. So it's really great for when plants are still really young. You can order this online too. I'll actually pass it around so you can get a better look at it. Also use perlite. You'll see these really common in potting mixes. It's great for aeration. So we use a lot of perlite. You'll see a lot of our vertebrates have some perlite and peat moss in them. I'll pass the perlite around. And coconut coir, this is a really great one. It's just the outer husk of coconuts. We use this, and that allows a lot of aeration as well. And then we'll just pass them around. Whoever's the last to touch them, we want to give you here, back up here. We still have our hydroponic grow tank. This is something you can do really easily in your own home. This is an aquarium tank, 10 gallons. It has a little air stone in it to allow oxygen to the roots, but you don't need to have an air stone. But if you don't have an air stone, you'll want to swirl up the water to add air into the water for the roots. But these are still young, so you can't see too well, but if you get up close, you can see the roots starting to kind of hang down a little bit. While we do that, I'm going to actually wash my hands because I'm going to do a little taste test. So we grow lots and lots of plants here, but the one that we grow the absolute most of is our cucumbers. So even if you don't like cucumbers, I would recommend that you try our cucumbers because they're delicious. And I feel like you have to try something at least 7 times before you know if you like it. Yeah. All right, so these are thin-skinned cucumbers. They are seedless and they are burpless. If you've had a lot of cucumbers with seeds, you might realize they need to be burnt. But ours won't because they don't have seeds. We call it the production greenhouse because this is where we harvest the most amount of produce in all of our 4 greenhouses. In all of our greenhouses combined, we harvest 30,000 pounds of produce a year. 20,000 of that is from this greenhouse alone. So this is where we do the most harvesting. This is our lean and lower system. So what we do is we train the plant to grow up the string, and then once it gets to the top, we'll lower it about a foot, and then we move the string over a foot. So then the tomatoes grow in a circular motion, and it keeps all the ripened fruit at the bottom, makes it really convenient to harvest. There's 150 plants right here. It's a good system if you like to grow tomatoes at home, but if you are looking to do a system like this, make sure you're looking for an indeterminate variety of tomatoes. Those are going to grow lengthwise until the end of their life cycle. So they're the ones that are good for this kind of system. Here's a tomato tree. Tomatoes do not grow on trees, but we can sure make it look like it grows on a tree. So this is just 2 plants. Train it to grow up, and then once it reaches the top, then it's kind of branched out all across the trellis there. so that's kind of the biggest thing. But if you're tall like me, it's really convenient to harvest that way as well. Pick them off as you go. And then also it's a great for pest control because I'm going to provide a ladder for the bugs to climb up. So what we're doing here in NFT is nutrient filled technique. It just, the water is going in through this little hole at the top, the pipe, and then it just trickles down, just utilizing gravity to water all of the plants. The lettuce is seeded in that rock wool that I showed you in the last greenhouse. Each of these big panels has 500 heads of lettuce on it. And we harvest about 1 panel a week. We're actually going to be harvesting that one on the side later today. So we end up harvesting about 2,000 heads of lettuce a month. So lots and lots of lettuce that we grow here. We usually will send it to our restaurants around property, but primarily Garden Grill, just across the way, is going to get the most of our produce. But pretty much any chef, if they want something specific, then they can come ask, and if we have it, great. If we're able to grow it, we might do that for them as well. It kind of depends. We don't have enough to provide every restaurant here, but we can do fun things like that once in a while. We also have to trick the lettuce to make it colder in here. If you've ever grown lettuce before, you'll know that it likes a little bit chillier weather to grow. Otherwise, it'll start to flower and then the lettuce becomes bitter. So we chill the water, and then the lettuce thinks that it's cold. Mostly benefits us in the summer when it gets 1,000 degrees in the greenhouse. Yeah, we make fun little signs. You guys, there's a 50 across the way. Below it's going to be a Mickey head. I can't tell right now what the name is. So young. Same on the side of the 50. Different varieties. All right. So what do we notice that's different about this greenhouse? Sand. So even though we have sand, the sand is just acting as a support system for the plants. We have drip irrigation under all of our plants here. So similar to what you might see if you're a landscaper, you know what's going on in your own garden. It has these little emitters that we usually will plant right on top of that emitter to get water. It's all pressurized, so it's getting the water and the nutrient solution all in the water there. So like I said, they harvested the Casa Banana. Are we putting in a new Casa Banana?
Yes, we are.
Wow, goody. Look at it. You see how he's wearing those booties on his shoes? So when we're working in the sand, that protects the sand from any pesticides. We can get a pest called root knot nematodes, if you've heard of those. They'll attack the roots of the plant. So, and they can be microscopic, so that's why we wear the booties to protect. We grow lots of different types of crops in here. Anything that can grow in a temperate region is what we kind of showcase here. So lots of corn, wheat, sorghum. So with coffee plants, they're also blooming right now, which is really pretty. They have these little white blooms that kind of looks like a jasmine plant. They don't smell as strong as the jasmine, but a nice sweet smell. But with coffee plants, they are a very labor-intensive plant to harvest, and that is because on each branch is where the little coffee cherries will ripen. But you have to actually hand harvest those coffee cherries off of the branch because they will all ripen at different times. So you might have one bright red one that's ready to harvest.
That's it.
And then you might have a bunch of green ones. Yeah, so they'll look like this, and then a green one right next to it. So you have to go through and kind of hand pick everything. So each of the coffee cherries has 2 coffee beans inside, kind of the pit of the fruit. You don't really eat the coffee cherry. It's really bitter and not a whole lot to it. So it's just the bean that you want. And then it has to go through the whole roasting process and everything like that. So that's a lot of stuff, or a lot of reasons why they are so expensive. I don't usually complain about the price of my coffee anymore once I learned how difficult it is to harvest. With coffee though, it naturally grows in a shadier area. So if you look for shade-grown coffee, that's a more sustainable way of purchasing coffee because it allows other trees to grow up over top without having to do as much land clearing for coffee plantations. So shade-grown coffee is a better alternative. First, going to be passing our lovely banana plants. And notice I say banana plant and not banana tree. That's because bananas are not a tree. They are a very large herbaceous plant. The trunk is like a compressed leaf tissue. Every part of the banana plant is edible. I know for our gorillas and our animal kingdom love bananas. Their favorite food. They work there for weeks. that if you eat it, it makes everything taste very sweet for like 30 minutes to an hour. So you can eat the hamburger and it will have a really sweet taste to it. Somehow it alters the shape of your taste buds. That's how it does that. But that's that's as much as I know scientifically. Alright, so behind me we have our breadfruit tree. That's our largest tree. It's probably about 6 or 7 years old. Does anyone know the most expensive spices?
Saffron.
Saffron, yeah. So this is saffron, most expensive spice in the world. It takes 80,000 of these flowers to make a pound of saffron.
That tree kind of looks like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it's Mickey Pepper, and I'm saving him for last because he's the best. Gotta save the best for last. Second most expensive spice in the world is vanilla. Did anyone know that one? Vanilla is very tricky. It's a type of orchid. And when it blooms, it'll only bloom for a single day out of the whole year. And it has to be hand pollinated. So unless it's in Mexico, the only pollinator for vanilla is in Mexico. It's a very small little bee. And everywhere else, you have to hand pollinate it. So you have to find it that day it blooms. And then you have to get a little toothbrush or whatever you use, or toothpick or Q-tip or whatever. And then from there, once it is pollinated and it begins to grow, when you harvest it, it takes about 3 to 10 months to go through the drying process to actually be used for vanilla bean powder. Is going to take longer than vanilla extract. So, pretty crazy. I'm a fan of vanilla. Let's see, has anyone had jackfruit before? Yeah? So we have a jackfruit tree. There's the one right to the left of the pretzel tree. Looks like it's got a fresh haircut. Jackfruit gets pretty big, but it's a great meat alternative. Has anyone had it as a meat alternative? That's when I've mostly had it. Over at the Regal Eagle at the America Pavilion, we have a jackfruit sandwich. It's like jackfruit pulled pork. It's not pulled pork, it's just jackfruit flavored like it. It's got a nice meaty texture to it. So I really like it. If you're interested in trying it, the Regal Eagle Pavilion will have it all year round. It's also one of the booths over at between, I think, China, next to China, there's a Impossible hot dog with a jackfruit on it. It's really good. And now, Mickey Pepper. Mickey Pepper is our oldest plant in all of our greenhouses. He's about 21 years old.
So Mickey is black peppercorn. So we are back home from our trip to Walt Disney World and Epcot and our experience with the behind the seats tour at the Land Pavilion.
Yes.
So as you saw in the videos before, very, very informative, but what were your thoughts overall?
I loved it. Of course, it's not gonna be as in-depth or intense as the Wild Africa Trek, because that's our other experience with a behind-the-scenes Disney tour. So, but we knew that going in.
Right.
We knew it wasn't going to be a ropes course above crocodiles and stuff. We knew it was gonna be an hour walking tour in the greenhouses, but still, it was great. I was surprised that it was all ages, because I didn't know that the kids were getting as much out of it as the adults.
True.
There were also, in our group, there were some parents who just kind of were letting their kids run a little bit, which put a little bit of strain on our tour guide.
Yeah.
But she still did a great job and was very informative and made sure that everybody stayed where they were supposed to be. Because, of course, one of the big things was we had to stay in a certain path on the sidewalk area of the greenhouse and couldn't go into the flower beds and dirt, sand, etc. because we could bring in nasty creepy crawlies that can hurt all of the lovely living things in the land.
Right.
So that was kind of the main thing, is you're not just wandering through the greenhouses. You're staying in a very specific area and you just keep walking through most of the greenhouses. At the end, you stop and you go back from where you came. And then you walk right back past everything you already saw. You just keep going and go back where you started.
Yeah, that part was awkward.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a little more like, ta-da, finish, if it hadn't been like, okay,
Right.
now everybody turn around and walk.
So
And keep going.
you walk in the opposite direction of the Living with Land boat ride. So where the ride finishes is where you start your tour.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. And I guess that's why you can't keep going, because there's the
Right.
ride. But we did get to see several boats go by, which
Yes,
was fun.
and people are like, and we're like, hey,
Yeah.
we're special.
And we did all get a lanyard that said like we're on a backstage tour.
You didn't get to keep it.
No. And you are also given a headpiece, or like, whisper earpiece, so she can talk and you could hear everything she's saying even if you're not right next to her. So that was nice, in case you're in the back of the group. And then as far as accessibility goes, we did have a member in our group that was...
Not in our party,
not
but
in
in
our
our
party.
tour group.
That was in a wheelchair. So you can do the entire tour in a wheelchair.
There was
It's
one
all-
set of stairs, but there was a ramp slightly off to the side.
Right. So that's good to know moving forward, that because you are otherwise on your feet the
Yeah,
entire
you're just
tour.
standing. So it might be something to think about if you have a person who isn't comfortable standing for a full hour straight too.
Right.
Just to
Yeah.
keep that in mind, because you are standing. You're just walking. You do go through pretty much all the major greenhouses that you see on the tour.
Mhm.
So that includes the fish land, and that was one of the more areas that I would think would be more inaccessible, but was still fine.
Right. It was tighter, but it was still fine.
Well, the floor was different, I think.
True.
But again, as far as accessibility, of course, Disney aims to make it so that everybody can participate, which is really nice. We had a great guide, like I said
Yeah.
before. She was willing to answer just about any question you threw at her. I don't know if you can hear in videos me asking random questions and stuff, but I was there to get my money's worth and learn about gardening. So, because we talked about natural forms of pesticide control.
Yeah. Like
The-
lemongrass is good to repel mosquitoes.
And we have bugs around the backyard, and she suggested buying ladybugs. I said, can you do that? And she said, yes. So maybe we'll invest in some ladybugs.
Yeah.
But it was different and it was very informative, which is why I didn't know that the kids would be with it as much.
Right.
It's definitely geared toward adults. Kids are gonna survive, they're gonna be fine, but I don't know that they're gonna go, wow, I learned about all these different things. The only thing that we really got to kind of touch, but not even touch, it was smell, was the roses. They had rose bushes lining a walkway, and they invited us to smell them and to see how the different plants had different scents, which was very cool. I really liked the Neil Diamond variety in looks and smell.
There was one plant that you could touch.
Yes.
I think his name was Stanley.
Stanley.
I don't know what kind of plant he was, but once you touch the plant, it kind of closes all its leaves up, so that...
There's a name for it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's okay. But so like when it rains, it will kind of shrivel up all its leaves to conserve its energy and nutrients and stuff. So you do get to touch that, but otherwise all the plants are off limits for touching purposes.
We did get a sample. We get to sample a piece of cucumber that
Yeah.
was grown in the greenhouse, so that was nice. It was good. It was cucumber. You know, it wasn't
It was also a seedless cucumber.
a seedless
Because
cucumber.
apparently, if you take out the seeds, you also take out burps,
Yes.
which
I
I've
don't
never
know.
heard that before, but yeah, it was a seedless cucumber, and apparently no seeds for a cucumber equals no burps. Fun fact.
See, we learned all sorts of things. We learned about hydroponics, and that you can make your own hydroponics system at home with just a fish tank.
Yeah.
Which was like, oh, could we do that? And then I was like, I don't want to clean a fish tank. I can't. but they had a piece in front of it to protect it from algae growing too much in there. But I mean, it was all different environments, which was very cool to see.
Yeah.
Because you had things growing in sand, things growing in more traditional methods, and non-traditional like water. But it was just, I know we keep saying over and over, it was really cool, it was really interesting, but it was definitely interesting. If you have the time and the means while you're in Epcot to do it, I think we would definitely recommend the behind the scenes tour.
Yes, and it is, you check in 15 minutes prior to your tour. You get an email a couple days in advance kind of explaining everything.
And they'll ask you to sign a waiver.
Yes. And the check-in is at the end of the Living with the Land ride, so it's right next to the Soarin' entrance/exit. So on that side of the Land Pavilion is where you check in.
And we did have to pay for it, but we did get a souvenir.
Yes.
I will go get it.
So as shown in a clip previously in this video, they do all the kind of tissue sampling and growing for different plants. So at the end of the tour, from the same check-in desk.
This is a plant tissue culture from the land at Epcot.
Yes. They have a ton of these different varieties.
They did not have them at the peak of COVID.
No.
So they're back fairly recently, because in past years, you know how it's like, oh, you get a favorite souvenir. Like, he likes pins. My mom has several of these. So we have plants, or my family has plants. There's a cactus, there's several test tube plants that she's successfully kept alive for years. So we will do our best to keep our little passion fruit alive.
Yeah.
We will remove it from the test tube and put it in a pot and everything. We're not gonna just go forever.
Yeah, a little Mickey's Mini Garden passion fruit plant.
And they are $14 now. But you can use AP, DVC, etc.
Yeah, all the discounts. So.
And it is a cool souvenir. If you're into gardening, or if you have someone that you're like, when am I gonna bring back the person who's babysitting my cats? Ta-da!
There you go.
A unique souvenir from Disney World that isn't another t-shirt or a pen or a cookie.
Yeah.
Except I don't know who would complain about a cookie.
True.
But I am pleased. I'm happy with the tour. It was exciting. It was educational.
Yeah. I will say, unlike the Wild Africa trek, I don't know that you would get a ton out of it doing it again.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it twice. Or I would wait several years.
Right.
Or do it with other people who wanted to do it desperately.
Yeah.
Because it is, as far as the tours go, more cost effective than the Wild Africa trek, of course.
Yes, by far.
And others in a similar price range.
I'll put the price of this tour down below. I don't remember what it is offhand, but definitely one of the cheaper, or if not the cheapest, behind the scenes tours at Disney World.
Right. So I mean, we would go again if somebody was like, come with us. But I don't think we'll rush back. But in the same vein, I would recommend that you go.
Yeah.
And you go one time and really, really like it.
But with that being said, overall, great tour, great experience. Definitely worth checking out. And a great souvenir to go with it in the end. But yeah. So if you're ever on the Living with the Land boat ride and you're like, huh.
Who are those people?
Who are they? Now you know.
How much did they have to pay to do that?
Right.
Do they get to walk through all the gardens? Now you know the answers.
Now you know. So that will do it for us today. Let us know in the comments down below if you've ever done the behind the scenes tour or any other Disney World behind the scenes tours.
What should we do? What should we do next?
Yeah. So that will do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you real soon.